Right, still the morning edition. We're back from the newsroom, and our first commentary this morning takes us into the latest chapter of the People's Democratic Party's seemingly endless internal crisis. Well, what began as a disagreement over the leadership and direction of the opposition party has once again descended into personal attacks, this time between two of the PDP's most prominent figures. Former Deputy National Chairman and Board of Trustees member, Chief Bode George, elder statesman, and of course, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Now, the latest exchange centers on a property in Abuja. During a media chat earlier this week, Minister Wike alleged that Chief Bode George Maitama residence was acquired with funds belonging to the Rivers State government, describing him as what he called the father of corruption. Now, Chief Bode George has responded, denying the allegation completely, insisting that he legally purchased the house from a retired civil servant to an agent and has absolutely no connection between the property and Rivers State. He has also threatened legal action against the minister, while describing his comments as reckless, defamatory, and beneath the dignity expected of a public office holder. Well, before we carry on with the discussion, let's listen to what exactly the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, had to say during the media chat.
Bode George is one of the founding fathers. He founded something he could not maintain in Lagos. A founding father of PDP since 1999. Since 1999, a founding father. He answered that a founding father were the conscience of the party. What conscience does he have that since 1999 till now, PDP has never won one seat in anything? You answer founding father using the successes of other people in other states. A founding father since 1999 till today cannot show in my own state. I brought this party to my own state. What is the result? What is the progress we have made in this state? Nothing. You're a founding father.
Well, that's Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, for you there. And of course, his comments drew an immediate response from Chief Bode George, who spoke during an interview on TVC. Let's take a listen to him.
I said to myself that that young man needs to be immediately taken to the psychiatric hospital. All right? My house in Abuja was bought with funds from Rivers. How? We Rivers. This guy is okay. I wasn't the only one he was abusing. And one question I want to ask, first of all, it's an infra-dignitatem for me to respond to a child who is just about the same age as my child, as my first child. It's an infra-dig. And go and find out about him, what his father did to him, and what did he do to his father. And in Africa, if your biological father disowns you, publicly, you know what that means? Do you know what it means? And you want me to respond to him. Respond to him like what?
Maybe
I'm
not.
just sorry because I have met his family, I've met his wife, and he's talking absolute rubbish. He must have been on a high level of some kind of facilitators. And that's why I said they should take him there. Rivers State built my house in Abuja. I didn't even build the house. You know, the house was built, I bought it. And it's still there. So I will go to Rivers, and now, am I from Rivers State? I'm not like him. And it's an infra dig for me to even listen and touch base with his. And I'm going to sue him to court for all the shenanigans, the thoughtlessness. And I'm sure he was high on something.
Wow, some very interesting comments there from Chief Bode George, responding to accusations Nyesom Wike had made publicly. I mean, he also had the right of reply and has publicly denied some of those accusations and says he's prepared to challenge it in court. No court has established that the Maitama property was acquired with public funds, and no investigative agency has announced any findings supporting that allegation. So legally, this is still what you might call a political dispute. Beyond the allegation itself, Marian, I think the bigger story this morning is what this exchange tells us about the quality of political conversations in Nigeria. Increasingly, disagreements between politicians no longer begin with policy differences or ideological arguments. They almost immediately descend into personal insults, family references, corruption allegations, threats of litigation. And I mean, the issues that affect ordinary Nigerians somehow are removed from the conversation.
I mean, when you see two prominent people in politics or in governance, whether before or now, you want to hear comments that would, propel decisions or policies, help people understand what's going on in our country better. But two of them have resorted to personal exchange of words, of printable words. Chief Bode George is one of the founding fathers of the PDP and has been active in Nigerian politics for decades. Nyesom, Wike, on the other hand, is a former governor, now a minister, and arguably one of the country's most influential politicians today. Now, these are individuals whose words carry enormous weight. When they speak, millions of Nigerians listen. So, when political disagreement become dominated by personal abuse instead of public policy, it sends a worrying message to younger politicians and to citizens watching from home. Democracy is supposed to be a contest of ideas. Instead, it's increasingly risk becoming a contest of insults. I know your father, you know my mom, you know my sister, I know your children, I know where your daughter graduated, I know where your son. Those are personal issues. Is that why you're in office? Is that why you're appointed or elected? I mean, as founding fathers of the PDP, because you could call Wike as a new age founding father or call Bode as the foundation of the PDP. Both right now are having to exchange words. Well,
history tells us that this isn't entirely new. Nigerian politics has always had its fair share of fierce rivalries. During the First Republic, we had Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who were what you might call ideological opponents. They disagreed profoundly about the country's direction. Now, their debates could be intense, but they were largely centered on federalism, on issues about education, on economic planning and constitutional development. Even in the Second Republic, there were disagreements between the National Party of Nigeria and the Unity Party of Nigeria, but much of the public conversation still revolved around governance, taxation, education, and development, not personal issues. But it's almost as if today's politics feel a little bit different. Instead of asking, what policy are you proposing? The question has increasingly become, what do I know about your personal life? And I mean, that shift should concern every Nigerian, regardless of party affiliation or whatever position that you have occupied in the past. Because I mean, Chief Bode George, elder statesman, very well decorated with lots of positions, former governor of Ondo State. I mean, you could just go on and on and on with some of the posts that he's occupied. And I mean, we have Nyesom Wike, former governor, now serving minister. I mean, very important individuals. But what is the quality of conversation here?
I mean, the style of politics and how politicians have tried to run their own style right now. When you can't get through with words, you now tend to go personal with your opponent and all. But then there's also an important legal dimension here. Under Nigerian law, allegations of corruption are serious matters. If anyone believes another public official has acquired assets through illicit means, they are a constitutional recognized institution responsible for investigating those claims. If we hear one Minister Wike say that the EFCC should investigate, or I'm calling on this agency to investigate the funds used in purchasing this house, that's a different case. But the way it's being brought out, there are bodies who are responsible for all of this. There's the EFCC, there's the ICPC, there's the Code of Conduct Bureau. I mean, when necessary, the courts all exist for this purpose. So making allegations in the media may generate headlines, but ultimately, evidence, not rhetoric, is what determines guilt or innocence. Likewise, if a public official believes defamatory statements have been made against them, the court remains the proper avenue for seeking redress. Chief Bode George has now, indicated that he intends to pursue that in a legal way now. right, by saying I'm going to sue him in court for all of these ways you said. But if Wike says that, yes, we have evidence and we can prove that the funds in acquiring your residence or one of your buildings in Abuja is through illegal means, corrupt means, why don't you call on the right agencies and carry out a proper investigation? Or are we just going to say this just by saying, you know, just because during my media chat I just said this? Is it just
I mean, that's a very important point, Marian, that you've raised about corruption. And I mean, there are institutions that are supposed to address some of these concerns. If corruption allegations are made, Nigerians naturally expect investigations based on evidence, Marian, not, you know, some of the allegations that you're now making or throwing on national television. If someone believes they've been defamed, I mean, that's where the courts come in. Democracy works best when disputes are settled by institutions, not by television interviews or political rallies. And I mean, can we also bring to your notice here that the PDP was, I mean, at a point, Nigeria's, or in fact, the largest political party in Africa, and at some point, a very strong opposition party. But now, internal disagreements seem to have put the party in disarray. That is expected in every political organization. The challenge is how those disagreements are managed. Around the world, opposition parties are judged not only by how effectively they criticize government, but also by how they're able to manage their own internal disputes. And I mean, the timing of this is absolutely something that should be looked into. We're less than just a couple of months away from a general election. Now, Nigerians are expecting political parties to begin presenting ideas on economy, insecurity, unemployment, healthcare, education, taxation, security. There's just a whole lot of important national conversations to be had, and that's what voters are waiting for. Instead, some of the loudest headlines continue to emerge from personal exchanges between senior politicians. There's also another issue here. Political language has consequences. Scholars of democratic governance would warn that when political discourse becomes excessively personalized, public trust in institutions begin to decline. Respectful disagreement, I mean, it's not a sign of weakness. In fact, mature democracies often thrive because political opponents fiercely debate ideas while still recognizing the legitimacy of democratic institutions. So, I mean, what should be the quality of conversations at this point? Chief Bode George says his Abuja house was lawfully purchased and has threatened legal action. Minister Wike insists on allegation and has challenged him to prove otherwise. Well, ultimately, if this dispute proceeds to court, it will be evidence, not political rhetoric based. And I mean, that is what will determine the outcome. But I mean, what we're saying this morning is that beyond these disagreements lies a broader question about the kind of politics that we're now seeing. Should senior political leaders continue settling disputes through increasingly personal public exchanges? Or is it time for politics to return to what it ought to be? A competition of ideas, a conversation about policies, and, you know, leaders proffering solutions to the challenges facing the country. What are your thoughts on this particular subject? Do you think Nigeria's political conversation has become too personal, or are robust exchanges simply part of democratic politics? What are your thoughts? Let us know. Leave a comment on the comment section of our YouTube channel, The Real Media NG. And that's where we take a pause on our first commentary this morning.